Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Vine Panther Presents. Today we have Sparkr, Adrian, Stacy, and I to discuss a movie called Promising Young Woman, which is in theater and online, depending how you want to watch it. If you want to brave COVID to see this movie. But anyway, Sparkr says no.
I don't brave COVID for anything, so
some things are worth it. If it was Endgame, I would be like, I'm wearing 2 masks and I'm going. But anyway, I digress. Sparkr, what is this movie about and why did you pick it?
Okay, so we enter into the movie following Cassie, who is on a quest for vengeance and against men in particular who very specifically take advantage of women. And due to a trauma that happened in her life. Now, they lead us down a bit of a path about how she's really kind of in suspended animation, if you will, in her life. She's stuck. And her life is really about her weekly quest to, one could say entrap, but really I would say bait men who are already predators to try to victimize her. And since it's very clearly a revenge movie, they kind of give us the impression that she is some sort of serial killer as we go through the story. But we find out really she's a smart one, but not quite. And which is one of my actual criticisms of the movie. So as we go forward, a young man that she used to know in college reintroduces himself to her life, and things start to go, I guess you could say, normal, so well for her. She enters into a relationship, and we have this kind of 5-10 minute kind of sequence of them doing normal boy-girl date stuff. But unfortunately, her past kind of comes back through a series of unfortunate events, and that leads her kind of down the path again to exact revenge, not on men in general, but on a specific group of people that was responsible for the pain that she suffered, this traumatic event in her life. And then we get towards which, P.S., the creativity on her vengeance, the mind game was tight. I can give it nothing more than a 10 out of 10. I wish I were that creative. That was good stuff. So unfortunately, I guess you could say she reaches a normal point, you could say, where it was time for her to heal, and she chose to do so in the construct of this new relationship that was forming, until she gets a bit of bad news that lets her know that her new honey isn't really as pure and as awesome as she thought he was. And then that takes us through to the last kind of arc of the story, where she does get her revenge, I have to say, in the most creative fashion, yes, but she also self-destructs in the process. And I will enter in with my biggest critique of the movie is that once again, Hollywood gets so close on really portraying and understanding women, and then they fall completely flat into the stereotype. Like, for example, any of Liam Neeson's last 10 movies has to do with him either actively seeking to punish someone who hurt his family, or like getting revenge on someone who hurt his family. At any point do we see this man, when he goes through a literal rampage, fall apart and become suicidal? No. But for some reason, women, we cannot fully absorb all of the emotions, and we end up being these self-destructive things floating throughout life with no direction. I really dislike that narrative, and I didn't like the fact that that's how they chose to portray the ending of this character in the story. I would have been happy with her continuing her weekly quest. It could have been a little bit more realistic for her to be like just continuing on with maybe still being kind of suspended, but but no, we go to her literally entering into this self-destructive and suicidal last series of events that takes us to the ending. So everybody that was a victim gets victimized. Still, it's not really revenge. Like,
All right, I see that.
I struggled.
Okay. Adrian, from your professional opinion, what did you think of the movie?
So, I on the whole, I really liked it, but it also made me so angry because when Stephanie suggested this and I read a little bit about it, I'm like, yes, like I can't divorce. I like right now, like we are nationally in a time where I was like, I want some justice. I want some vengeance. I want something, right? And then personally, this really struck a lot of notes with me. You know, I think most women have had at least some level of harassment, if not actual assault, in their lives. And so I was looking to this for like a little like fantasy revenge. And you kind of find that she's almost trying to save other women, like by just scaring the crap out of these predators. But you don't get this vengeance. The closest I felt like really cathartic was when she had like a breakdown in her car and that guy starts screaming at her and she takes the tire iron and she beats the crap out of his truck, because of course it's a truck, and she beats the crap out of it, and I was like, yes, this is what I'm here for. and, and then like you see the struggle though, like I completely agree with Stephanie. She felt that this was like her duty, like her quest, but she wants to start to heal and have a life, and she starts to get there, and like every time she gets closer to healing and moving on from this terrible trauma that happened to her friend who was like her sister for her whole life, like things keep drawing her back in. And the the right before the end, when you are like, when things go poorly, without putting a spoiler in there, when things go poorly, I was so enraged. I stopped the I paused the movie and I threw some stuff in my house because I was what is this? Like, no. And then I'm like, all right, calm down. I put it back on play and I watched the rest, and I liked the ending, but I was also like Stephanie, like I was just like, I wanted more. I wanted more action. And I don't consider myself a violent person. I'm usually anti-violence, but
What?
seeing you see like, and that beginning shot, right? So the beginning shot of the movie with the shot of all these guys dicks in their khakis, right, dancing around, like just complete slovenly, don't give a crap, don't like, have not put any thought into what they're doing, and then they hone in on her like a target. And in you start to see in their mind, they do this, I'm going to help her because someone else is going to take advantage of her. But quickly they move into like, let's get her drunker and let's rape her. And like, I'm sure in their mind, they don't call it rape, but that's what it is. And so there were moments of this movie where I was like ready to cheer. And there were other times where I didn't have enough screaming pillows in my house. So I'm glad I watched it, but like, and I think, you know, we talked a little bit about this, but like the ambiguous nature of this movie and how things were not clearly spelled out, to me made a lot of sense, because the level of trauma that she had gone through, that her friend had gone through, like these stories they're not crystal clear, right? If we listen to victims and we listen to perpetrators, they don't have this like crystal clear memory of everything that happened where it all fits logically. And you have so many people's different versions of it and how they had to try to absolve themselves of their parts, like the other friend Madison, and how she had to like almost forget everything that had happened so she could move on with her perfect life. So although it was frustrating how parts of it you really wanted more, like you wanted more clarity and you wanted more direct resolution, I think the writing was good, and I think it made sense according to the storyline.
So this is a spoiler review as we do on the channel. So like if there's certain scenes, like, because when I talk, I'm gonna be like, hey, like I'm gonna get into some of these scenes, you know, because I saw they were interesting to me. But anyways, Stacey, what did you think of the movie?
I think, like the other two ladies, I actually was wanting violence, and like,
of course you do.
You know, but I generally do. I'm not a violent person, never been in a fight a day in my life, but I love ID channel and I love like just murder and blood and guts. I love it, right? So I was waiting for her to like disembowel somebody or cut some dicks off or like something, right? And I got nothing. So I was a little disappointed on that hand. Like seeing her going through the process, and particularly when she went back to the school and confronted the dean or whoever she was.
Yeah.
So my freshman year, a friend of mine was in a similar situation, right? She reported it. I went with her to the emergency room, to the police department, and I saw firsthand how people do nothing. Like the guy was in a fraternity. It was like, oh, well, he's a good guy, you know. So he basically was allowed to transfer to another school. She was belittled by men and women, and probably more so by the women.
Oh yeah, because it's her
because
fault
she was overweight. So why would he want her? Type thing. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
So I've seen that firsthand how it's handled on college campuses. So when that conversation, I was like, because I haven't thought about that in 20 years, and it brought that up for me, how that's handled. So yeah, I really wanted her to kill somebody. And so when she went to the bachelor party, I was like, yes, this is it, right?
This is it.
Mm-hmm.
And for her to be the victim, I was just like, what? And I was thinking, well, maybe she's playing dead, and as soon as the other guys come in, she's gonna slaughter everybody, right? But she was really dead, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where's my revenge? Like,
yes.
Yes. That was hilarious, man. I said this turned into a movie. Like I was like, oh, I want to see where this is going, because when she and her man like started to have their singing montage, like they're about to ride off into the sunset, I was like, oh, so she found a good guy. At least some guy in this movie is not worth the shit. And then the movie kept on going. I was like, he's a rapist. Like this is not gonna go well.
I will have to say, when they introduced his character, just going back, I mean, I only watched the movie one time. I will say that when they introduced his character, when he walks into the coffee shop and he sees her, there was something about his reaction that wasn't right. I actually never thought, I think we had to be like halfway into them giggling along, and after we meet the parents when I think to myself, oh, he might be a good guy. But the whole time I thought something was off with him. When we first introduced him to it, something to do with the way he suddenly remembered who she was. But he never talked about anything else. He remembers everything except the one thing. It was just something about him that was like not quite there. So they did get me later on when we have the reveal of when everybody was involved. Everybody at the school knew exactly what happened and what was involved with what happened to her friend. But that right there was just one of those moments where I was like, no, he's not a good guy. Then I was like, okay, well, maybe he is supposed to be a good guy. And then at the end, you're kind of like not surprised
when
that he was, one of the guys.
When he coincidentally just walked her to his house first date, I'm like, stop. Like, I mean, like that right there is a bad sign no matter what. If a dude's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. And then
how did this happen? How did my apartment end up here?
I was like, I don't know how my pants just fell off. It's just weird.
Here's some more alcohol. How drunk are you?
I was like, I understand this. So like, again, I walked into this seeing, okay, this is going to be Thelma and Louise. I get it. Okay. Like, I was ready for the violence. I was ready for like shoot. I did think like some Dexter shit. Like she just had she had a list, right? Like she was the one who was assaulted. She knew all the guys that were there, and she spent the last 3 or 4 years just killing these dudes like one at a time, and I thought like some desperado shit. Like I was like, oh, okay, but then that's not, no, like she goes after like random
Well, but
dudes.
you don't, and you don't know, like, we actually don't know, like, we assume that all these guys, that she just kind of scared them, right? But we know that with the lawyer that she had hired somebody to go fuck him up. Like she had hired, I don't know if it was a hitman or someone who's going to torture him.
Yeah, they
and
don't
so
make that very
they don't
clear on what was supposed to happen to that guy.
But so you get this impression that because he was already, like, before she got there, he was already so overwrought with guilt that kind of saved him ish.
Yes.
So
but so because when they had hints like that, and like how sometimes she used different color with how she wrote down the names or the different marks, that made me wonder if sometimes there was more violence than we thought.
Okay, but it would have been nice if they just showed me that, like, some people die and some people only, or at least
get their name, or at least get Nina's name carved in them or something.
Yeah. I thought so. There were check marks, right? Like, so I think the random dude she met, once she didn't know their name, so she just put a list. Like, she's made like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, she was counting up those guys, and then she had a specific like target list of the people she knew by name that was probably associated with the event. Is how I took her book. But again, we don't. And then she gave everyone, even the dean, she gave her an opportunity to be like, "I'm sorry, I atoned for what I did." But when she started being like, "Well, shit happens," she was like, "Well, then your daughter's probably gonna get it because she's up there with the frat guys." And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, never mind." So even with the lawyer, the fact that the lawyer atoned for what he did, she was like, "No need for you going and do whatever he was gonna do." And then even with her college friend, she gave her an opportunity to be like, "You're sorry, right?" Like, like, and then she was like, "Well, again, shit happens." And she was like, "Well, I'm gonna put you in a room with a random dude." I'm like, how is she affording to do all this shit? Like, I mean, where's the money coming from? Like, I don't think she's making that kind of money. But those things were issues. I thought the scene with the car, I thought was interesting because I took it a little bit differently, right? The fact that it was a white dude, right, is important to me because I believe that if this was a black man that drove up next to her and all people saw, was a white woman getting out of her car, getting a hammer or something and bashing a black man's car like that, a truck like that, and just driving off, I would have been like, that woman would have been called a Karen. They would have said she's using her white privilege to attack this poor black man, and that would have been the story in that social media video if that's all they saw. And I was like, I believe, I mean, I think it helped the situation that the guy was white, because then that would have been an issue. But it depends on how you tell the story, who sees what and when. And how you,
I will point out that there was only one black dude in the whole movie, and I thought that they did it, and yeah, he was a creep, but he doesn't. I think they did this on purpose. They did not want the movie story to get distracted with the stereotypes of race. So they had one black guy. He makes it 2 steps out of the club before that's over. So we don't even go into these racial stereotypes, which I appreciated because that was not the point of the story. The point of the story is that this story is many women's story, regardless of everybody's skin color. So I thought I just wanted to bring that up because you mentioned, but that was like something I think they did on purpose.
And the fact that he was the friend of the first dude she picked up at the beginning of the movie. And then like, but she said you did, like, that guy's not dead, whoever he is, because I thought he was gonna be dead, right?
He's not. Yeah,
you took the guy. So I'm like, well, what happened to the guy? Like, I mean, is he missing some body parts or whatever? So in we go to the final showdown or whatever.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so in the vodka, she has like cyanide or whatever. Like, she's killing all these dudes. Like, she's like, everybody's taking a shot, and there's all gonna be like some Jim Jones shit. Like, they're all dead at the floor. Then she's gonna go up there and chop this dude up for be like, you raped my friend, and now I'm about to have some fun with you. I'm not sure why she didn't bring the legit handcuffs. She bought the party cuffs, and that didn't work out for her. I too thought when she was like dying in front of us, I was like, oh, she's prepared for this. Like, she knows how to hold her breath, and she's gonna pop up. And then when she stayed there all night, I'm like, oh, she's playing the long game. Oh, she's gonna wake up at night. And then that's not the case. Like, she's actually like dead as shit. And I was like, oh man. I was like, this is a movie. So I'm like, where's it going? Where's it going? Why is this movie still on? So then I'm like, oh, the necklace. I'm like, it all comes together. She's like,
She had
she
prepared
died to a
everything.
necklace.
Yeah.
And then she wrote a detailed note to be like, I was like, she had to leave some type of like kill switch package to be like, I'm going here. The video should have popped up on the guy's phone. One, I thought it was her friend at the
Yes.
Yes.
They lead you there, and you're thinking that the whole time that everybody in
He's gonna
his
get the video.
address book is gonna get that.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yes.
okay. So one, I think it's her friend that this is not like artificial intelligence. Like her friend is doing this for her. Like her friend is. I was like, where's her friend at the wedding? So I'm thinking her, because she sent the video, she sent the phone to the lawyer, right? But she
Yes.
sent the necklace to her friend.
Right.
Yes.
And the necklace was like, it was Nina and Cassie was the final text, right? So I thought it was her friend had to be there, like to do that. Like she's the one sending the text messages on behalf.
Oh, like Gail, her boss.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So with that, I thought it was like everybody you've seen the more like everybody gets the video, everybody's phone starts going off, and then people start looking at each other. And I'm like, where's the video? Like, where at least we can at least get the. I'm like, well, is it gonna pop up? And then it was just a whole bunch of text messages. So I'm like, is the video even gonna be a thing?
I just remembered something that makes me so mad is that guy, I think his name was Joe. He's played by Max Greenfield. That he gets away. Like, so the wedding is happening, right?
Yes.
Oh, the guy that ran.
The guy that ran.
Oh,
he's gonna
get caught. No, he's gonna get caught. I mean, they just.
But I wanted to see that.
No.
I mean, I'm pretty sure once they start doing the investigation, but I'm like, it's not gonna be cut and dry.
Think about that guy's face. Okay, so this is the best friend of Al, the rapist, and he knows everything that happened. And
he took the video.
He took the video. Right. So he comes up and he realizes
David,
that
he was the guy who took the video while Al, the rapist. Yeah, he was recording it. Right. That's why it's ironic that the first person who comes upstairs
is his best friend. I've been there since the beginning.
And that's why it's like, that's the guy saying, no, you're not going to get caught.
Right.
I know how to fix this. He's a dirtbag from beginning to end. So
that it's like you see how perfectly he's able to so quickly process and be like, nope, we're not going to get in trouble. And he knows it. And he knows that they're going to be able to fix this.
Yes.
And that at the end of it, the groom's getting arrested.
Gone.
And he is gone. If I could have leapt through my screen to go chase that asshole down, I would have done it.
You had to get beat up by the billy clubs to be like, you ain't going nowhere.
Well, that kind of goes to part of the point that kind of, you're right. There's a supreme level of dissatisfaction in certain parts of the movie. And it was because they started off by letting us know she was smarter than everybody, right? In the class. She was the smartest, except for her friend,
Cassie.
Nina was the smartest one in the class. Cassie kept downplaying it, but then when the guy comes in to the coffee shop, says, you were smart, you were smarter than everybody, right? Okay, so cool. And then when you see her setups for all the either from the club setup to now when she decided to focus her attention, I was like sitting there watching the screen like this, like, yes. I wouldn't want the dean's daughter to get raped, but just the exquisite moment of her spouting off at the mouth for 5 minutes about how I can't ruin somebody's life, and it's he said, she said, and then literally you're like sitting there, you're like,
she flips the switch and she sees.
And then when the moment she realizes her daughter is the one who's going to be walking into somebody's office telling them what happened on her campus, because remember she says, this part pissed me off so much. She says, I get this once or twice a week.
Right.
I deal with this all the time.
And that's not the part where she's like, we need to fix this, right? Like that's acceptable. And not only is it acceptable, but we cannot ruin this young man's life. Oh, it doesn't matter that it ruins the woman's life at all.
No. So then when she has that moment and it's just like her, oh yeah, but I picked your daughter up and dropped her off at I was sitting there, I was like,
I feel like she had more success going after the women than she did the men, to me. Mm-hmm. Like she did more to the women than she did the men. And she spent very little time going after the actual main primary target. Like it was like, she spent so much time going after these tertiary people instead of the dude that actually caused her friend to kill herself. Like my whole life. on that
but
dude.
it wasn't just him. Like, but so it wasn't. He was the rapist, right? They all perpetrated this. That's the thing with a rape that is silenced and that is like where the victim is made out to be the person who did this to themselves. It's not just the action of the guy
The
who
perpetrators, everybody
actually,
else involved.
right. It's like, and I think like there's this feeling too when it's another woman that does this to you, right? Where it's another woman who's in power and you look to her as someone who might understand, who might remember when she was in the same position, and instead that dean does nothing. And the same with her friend Madison, who like does nothing. And so it's like I wonder if the idea that she was more successful at really messing with the women in this was because they had more psychological depth to wound each other, whereas the men were just about their dicks and their fear and their power.
Honestly, that is how they introduce men, like you pointed out, Adrian, and that's how they introduce men in the movie as very like not too one-dimensional, one thing. That's the first opening scene that you see. So they didn't really make them about being more than, I mean, even the guy, I forgot his name, the rapist, 7 years have gone by. He's only about 30. He's about to get married. He's a completely different person, right? And that's all you really get to see is him say, well, they want you to think he's completely different. But he's he went upstairs in short order and got in bed. So how much different can it really be? But and anyway, they went out of the way to show you kind of like a very one-dimensional man, right? When he's single, he's about his dick, and then when he's married, he's about not getting caught. And that was it. Like that's all kind of they did with the depth of character of men. So
I think, but I agree, but I think the one I think the lawyer is a somewhat exception, but the father is a big exception. So her father like has more understanding and can convey more about his feelings and his fear for her and like where she's been, even with a few words, than her mother did, right? Like the way that they show the parents, the mother is kind of at a loss and like keeps coming back to like this, like, what's wrong with you? Why is it like this? Whereas the father is like, tries to smooth that over, but then even has that moment where he connects with her and he says, we loved Nina, your friend. We loved her as a daughter too, and we really miss her. But my God, we've really missed you. Like you do see, although the bulk of the men in this movie, you don't see a lot of redemptive qualities. With the father and with the lawyer, who's kind of lived his whole life now in this feeling of guilt. Like it's not just that she shows; he's waiting for her to show up.
He's waiting for somebody.
Somewhere because
it didn't really matter.
So Stacey, what do you think of the situation? How would you want to make it better?
The whole story?
Yeah. Or any part of it.
Murder. Like I needed to see some people die. Like, or at least get really hurt. Like maiming and castrated. They can live, but you don't need that anymore.
Do you feel like there was character development? Do you feel like any character actually had an arc?
I don't.
Yeah, me either.
I'm trying to think, but no.
I think she was struggling the whole time. Like she was trying to get out of this life.
And that's what I thought we would see her kind of blossom. Okay, she has a good man, she can start being more functional. She'll get her own apartment, live on her own, but we never saw nothing.
No.
Or she carves her friend's name into that dude's chest.
I wanted that so bad.
And she rides off into the sunset like I did what I had to do, and like and now I can restart my life.
But that's not how this works. Like that. So like part of me thinks that as disappointing as that is, this is how this works. Like this is what passes for justice. And like all of these systems are set up to keep perpetrating these crimes against women, particularly. I mean, like men are sexually assaulted, but predominantly against women. Like the way that we run our society, it just keeps this in perpetuity. And so like we get a little glimpse of justice with Al finally getting arrested, but it does not satisfy because we know all the things that have happened to her, to her friend, to women all of us know and have been. Like, it was, I don't know what, like there was a moment in the very beginning where she, when she was coming home from that first guy's house and she's eating that jelly donut and you think it's blood, right? Coming down her arm. And the construction workers are disgusting at her, which is unfortunately a stereotype that is true. But she just turns at them and she just stares and stares and stares until they stop. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a different movie, right?
Yeah,
like this is a woman who is unafraid of her power. She is not going to put up with dickishness in any facet of her life. And then you just see that she just keeps on getting sucked back in and clobbered, and it's so frustrating.
So to Sparkr saying, there's been movies where like men, like they don't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're on a revenge path, and it's like if you want revenge, you gotta dig 2 graves, one for yourself and one for the other person. I mean, there's been times where men like they're like, okay, I'm not living through this, but I got to do what I got to do. But at least they get the guy. It ain't no bullshit. Like they die, and then eventually the person gets arrested. It's like, no, I'm shooting you, and then I'm taking 3 bullets in the chest, but we're dying together. But you're dying. Like they do achieve the goal. Like John Wick didn't have a breakdown over his wife. He did, but he was breaking the concrete as he was crying. Like he was like, "Oh, my wife, let me go break this concrete and kill everybody."
He had his breakdown early.
But would it be better for, like, I was thinking about this. Is it worse for Al would it be worse for him to be killed, or would it be worse for him to lose everything publicly, lose his bikini model wife, and go to jail? If taken down in this fashion, like part of me wonders, is that the real revenge? Is like,
only if he gets ass raped. Only if something happens to him. It's like, my thing is though, his friend was right. You got a good story. Like if he would have left her in her situation, she assaulted him. As long as they keep the whole video thing out, he is absolutely correct. You defended yourself. This woman came into your place, handcuffed you to the bed. You had to fight your way through, and there's plenty of physical evidence to support that. You had to overpower this woman. It was you versus her. She had a scalpel and a whole surgical kit over here. So if he wouldn't have burned the body,
that part would have gotten her. Yeah,
he would have walked away and been like, I'm the victim. She knew me in college and she was obsessed with me. I dated her friend. She was crazy as shit, and she found me. She went.
If the movie had ended that way, I would have leapt through my screen and slapped everybody in that movie.
But the fact is that she knew their behavior so well. She knew that they wouldn't just stick with the truth. They're liars. They've always have been liars. Had they stuck with the truth, like you said, the bottle of spiked vodka is still there. She didn't get rid of it. Like, they could have established all this. It would have been a horrible thing to happen, and she would have gone down in history as that crazy bitch, and that would have been that. But no, they're dishonest, lying people.
But both are true though. Because they're still that's still gonna be their story. They're gonna be like, we did that. They hid the body. They're going to jail for that. I mean, like that right there shows.
But now no one's really going to believe that you didn't kill her.
When you go and burn the body, yeah.
The rest of your story is now.
I'm saying, but the spiked bottle, to your point, the spiked bottle is still there. Her surgical equipment is still there, so you still got the story. I'm not saying he's going home. I'm saying he's going home for manslaughter or going to jail for trying to hide the body. His friend is going to be an accessory after the fact, but it's not going to be you were a rapist and you got what you deserved. It was going to be, I defended myself and I went too far trying to hide the evidence. My fault. But he still got a story.
It's still dissatisfying. I'm sorry. You're right, but as I was saying earlier, girl with the dragon tattoo.
Damn.
When she gets her revenge, like, I'm satisfied. And then when she gets her secondary head fuck revenge, I'm more satisfied.
Oh, the leather
so
jacket,
I was really expecting that level of vengeance here that I didn't get.
I know.
If you went to medical school, I thought she would have the syringe to knock him out Dexter style, and then be like, now, right? This is not your first time. You can't tell me you didn't have a guy that was stronger than you, and then take your "I'm drunk but not really" speech and they just let you walk out the door. I'm pretty sure she had to get in a couple of hand fights in this process. So I can't believe she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I had to defend myself." I'm like, she should have did better. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But or at least had a backup knife or something when she's like doing all this shit. I thought she was gonna be like, and then like he bleeds next to her. Then friend comes up, she takes him out, and now she's like, now I got to clean up 2 bodies. But she got got the bag. She. Hey,
but honestly, you're right.
She
you
calls
make
Eric.
a good point.
She calls Eric crossover.
You try to expect us to believe all these men were such big cowards that the second they realized she was sober, that was that? Like, no, you're right. She was. Somebody's dead somewhere.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Like, she got her ass whooped a couple times. Like this, she went to the hospital. Like there's something happened to her. Like you can't. She had check marks on top of check mark. Something happened. So and not all those guys were like, well, it happens. Never mind.
I thought so. One of the things I thought was kind of like I liked what I wanted more of it was when she was with the only black guy and they see Ryan and she's talking with him and she tells him like, you're lucky that it was me. There's another woman out here doing this and she brings scissors. Yes. And part of me was like, I want to tap into this network of vigilante women that are like,
show me more women doing this. But no.
Yes. It's a whole John Wick like secret society of killer women. Like
Robin and her crew. Like Robin and her crew from Double Cross. Like just a whole gang of just hot chicks running around just taking people out.
Taking dudes out. That's right. Like she actually got some therapy. She went to a support group. She met other women who say talking is not enough. Like we need to organize ourselves and go out doing this shit. Because why would you go out there by yourself, not thinking that his friend is going to join him? And now you got 2 guys to deal with. So there's like a crew, right? I was like, that's my other thing. You're going into this dude. There's several dudes in here. Apparently, according to her, all of them were somehow involved in her friend being raped. I'm like, why are you not bringing backup of some level? I mean, forget the suicide kill switch note. Bring somebody with you to help you get out of this. Then she cut off her phone. I'm like, to Sparkr's point, it's like, if I don't come back, it's okay. Like, she didn't have a plan. Like, she didn't have a get out plan in this.
Or she did, actually, and that was part of the plan.
That was part of the plan. Well, I mean, she was that so far gone, right? That she didn't consider danger to herself anymore and I can handle all this, or she really felt like I know exactly how all these men are and she knew exactly how to play them because maybe she had done the bachelor party, set up before. I don't know. But honestly, you're right. That would have been a more entertaining story if at the end where we have Britney Spears kind of like edgy version of her song, which by the way was great.
That was fantastic.
It would have been kind of cool really if maybe 3 women are walking in there. Like she was not lying to you when she said, I'm not the only one. Like even if it hadn't gone, even if they found a way to make it end the way it ended, it would have been a little bit more eerie that no, she's not by herself. And no, she's the lightweight of the group,
So the other women are handling the crew downstairs. She's like, this is one's mine. And so she's going upstairs, think they're going to handle it. And then, she doesn't make it. But then they come up and find her like that. They're like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying?
Or they leave and it still ends exactly the same way it ended. Like, that's fine too. Like they handle the guys downstairs and they leave in the middle of the night, like whatever. But there could have been a way to like make it even more menacing in the story in that, she says, I'm not the only one, because she's not. And that's part of the story point of the story is like her friend Nina's story is not the only one. Right. So yeah. I mean, overall, I liked this story, right? I like the idea of these of the vengeance. It just all of it.
Vengeance.
Yes, because women don't get that. Because we don't get that. We get the like part time for you to move on.
Right. And I so part of it to me, like although it wasn't like the vengeance that I wanted, like part of it was also like she couldn't be there for her friend. She wasn't at that party, right? But so she puts herself in danger to go out every week and prevent this from happening to somebody else and maybe even multiple women by either scaring the shit out of these men or doing something to them. Like, so, I mean, it was, I liked it, but I didn't like it. Like, I'm really glad you suggested it, Stephanie, but like, there was a lot of unresolved things, which I think is really appropriate when we're talking about rape, when we're talking about sexual assault. This doesn't get resolved neatly. I mean, Stacey talked about it with her friend. Like, I think we've all had stories like this that have happened to us or friends or family, and none of it, I haven't seen such a small percentage gets resolved in a way that brings any healing or justice or vengeance or anything. So like, the story seemed true in some ways, but like, and just that was what made it so frustrating.
So that's true. Maybe it was so because this is how it probably would happen. It's supposed to be what we wanted to happen, right? Like, and maybe that's what they wanted to show. And to that, to your point of saving women, I thought it would have been nice if she actually did that. Like some of those guys, like the first guy that she ended up going home with, he was actually hitting on another woman who was drunk and impaired, right? She comes in and she's like, hey, big boy, what about this? And then you can see her actually like
draw him away from her. Yeah,
right. And then it's like, if it wasn't for her, she would have ended up like this, type of type of thing. Because even with
if you saw, like, you do hear about, the experience of that guy afterwards from his friend. But like, if you saw that this changed their behavior in any way,
there you go.
Like,
there you go. Since she keeps on going to the same places, I mean, to be like, I don't get that. Like, you got to change your hunting ground. Eventually, people are going to be like, you see this white woman? She crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It don't like she put a lot of different wigs. I'm like, it ain't that hard. Like, it's social media day, right? Like, hey, guys, since we have a asshole raper crew, like, here's the picture of the lady coming after us. We have meetings, and be like, and then they can be like, hey, we were looking for you. I thought that was going to happen. I thought eventually one of her victims was going to be like, no, bitch, like, we know you do this, and we set you up. Like that would have, and she would have fought her way out because she's like Colombiana, or something.
And what kind of asshole keeps kumquat liqueur in his apartment and then pours that into a glass and gives to a woman? What the hell?
That's agreed.
Agreed.
Now for that dude, he did start off with she could be hurt. Like, he was like, and then they were talking about a coworker though. Like, this was fucking me up. They were talking about a coworker, and he was the voice. That's why they picked him, because he was the voice of reason. That was like, she's feeling like, she's being pushed out because she's a woman. We should treat her better. And the black dude and the other guy was like, nah, she needs to get over that shit. And he was like,
no, because they were trying to do deals at the strip club like it was 1984. That's what they were arguing about. Well, and they're like, or the golf course or the golf resort, where that's not her natural place to be. So we're pushing her out of a deal, and they're saying, well, she should go get her own deals. But it was her deal, so that was kind of the backstory. You're right; he was being the man of reason, and then, but like, he couldn't help himself. I don't understand.
At first, he was like, let me. But again, that wasn't the same woman, because that was her. Like, that was her. Like, so, like, where's this woman they're talking about? Anyway, he sees her. They all see her. And he's like, I'll take her home. Yeah, then all of a sudden, he was like, well.
He switches so fast. He was like, as soon as he gets to that.
Like, never mind.
Let's go to my apartment instead.
Yeah, that's the second time. But guys, like, this makes you end up at his place. Don't go to his place. Like you got to go somewhere else. Like,
well, she wants to go to his place. I mean, she's got to go to his place to, like, take him down.
Yeah, and then she would be like,
she gives them like so many chances to really be good guys. Like, in the car, she gave the Uber driver a chance. Because he's looking at her, seeing that she was out of her shit, and he doesn't say, "No, I'm not taking you to her apartment." She gives the guy several chances. I mean, rolls down the window, looking like she's about to barf. Right, like, every single opportunity for this guy to be like, I can't do this. She's not, she's not aware of her surroundings. She's too drunk.
Mm-hmm. But you take her back to your place and offer her more drinks.
Yes, kumquat liqueur.
This much kumquat.
And he gave her like the big glass. He poured that much for himself, and he gave her the big glass.
Yes.
I was like,
you want a drink? Here, I'll have a drink. You have a drink.
As a man, for the representative, I just didn't appreciate that, like, 98, every man but the father was some kind of asshole or predator in this movie. I thought that was a bit much. Like I know they have a message they're trying to go for, but that was a bit much. And like and we've talked Sparkr, we talked about this in Wonder Woman, exact same thing. Which they've talked about in the Honest trailer. They even pointed out in the Honest trailer. Chris was like, "Oh, David, you're going too far." Even the Honest trailer was like, "Why are these men sexual predators?" Like Jessica Jones, Captain Marvel, and like it never fails. Like if it's some kind of a pro woman movie, there will be an unproportional amount of assholes in there trying to get with these women and damn near rape these women. And I'm like, this is a bit much. Yes, Sparkr, I'm sorry.
There's a disproportionate amount of predator assholes ratio to women, period.
But even when you walk,
there is a disproportionate
Wonder
amount.
Woman took it to over the top. This took it over the top. I'm not saying they don't exist, but this, like, she couldn't even go get like a bagel without some man to be like, "Can I please lick you?" I'm like, come on. I'm like, that's a bit much. I mean, everywhere she went, like. I was just like, damn, just give me one or two dudes. Even the cop was an asshole because he was like, she was crazy, right? I mean, that's right. He was making up the excuse. She's missing, but she was crazy, right? She probably hurt herself, right? And he was like, yeah, that's probably what happened. The one who was investigating her being missing, the cop, he was coming up with the story already. She's like, she's an unstable woman.
And I thought that was trying to put, so like, and we don't see the next day when he's supposed to come into the office. Like, I thought that was like, he was good copping him, like putting him at ease that he would be more likely to talk. Now, I could be wanting to see that because I wanted something.
You want to see that. No, that guy was like,
that's what I thought too. That's what I thought too, actually, because you were the last person to see this woman who's been missing a week alive. You're it. So I really thought that they were good copping him to get it. I thought the same thing. Because the lady cop wasn't even there when he goes to talk to him. That didn't make sense. So I thought it was like a setup.
I was like, this dude, even that guy was like crazy.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like I'm a guy, we're guys, like we can talk about this. I've got your back, it's all fine. And then like, let's talk some more. And then you'll tell me everything because you're stupid.
Well, he didn't actually do anything to the girl, so actually he would have been fine. I mean, like he's like, he didn't. I mean,
but he knew way more than he was telling the cop.
That where she was going. So the best he could say was that she was going to the bachelor party. I mean, again, but then he would have to bring up the video.
Yes,
but
that's kind of the point. Is that
the bachelor party that would have been good.
I mean, but that kind of shows his cowardice because he could have told the police on, what do you mean she's missing? She's not. Wait, this is where she went. Like, and spilled the beans.
Yeah, but he was like, I don't know what he's talking about, bro.
Yeah.
When the video, but he was at the wedding though. He was at the wedding, right? So it's like the video's gonna come out. So now
because he's got to stay part of the clique. Got to stay part of the clique. The clique's more important.
And you notice they didn't bring up the fact that he wasn't at the bachelor party. Like where's JoJo or whatever, to be like,
Ryan.
To be like, why wasn't he here, right, or whatever? At least to acknowledge that he was supposed to be there, because like he knew where it was, right? And he ended up at the wedding, so obviously he's part of the in crew. So he was like, nah, I'm gonna sit this one out. It would have been good if they at least would have mentioned it, and then it would be like, okay, he was like, nah, I guess she's gonna do some wild shit there. I gotta leave him alone. Anyway, would you have saw this movie in the theater minus COVID?
Yeah.
Stacey.
No. Only if there were murders.
All right. Okay, I get you. Okay. So, Thelma and Louise, which is the best woman movie of this caliber? Like, which one would you see would be like the one? Yes.
They're very different. I mean, like, so Thelma and Louise, there was a Louise, right? Like, there was
a partner.
Right. Her partner had completed suicide like a decade before. So, like, so it's. I think they're very different.
All right. There are women revenge movies though, like that's out there. So which one would you say would be like a better one? Like this was good. Like Jennifer Lopez's one where she she was being abused by her husband and she like worked out, got strong, whatever, came back and killed him. Like that was a thing. Huh?
Enough.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. There's really isn't a lot of women revenge movies out there. Nope. But I will say that
Colombiana. That was a family thing, but that was revenge.
But again, there's always this part of the. Okay, I won't say.
You said that's the part where she breaks down, and starts crying.
There's always this breakdown, like the women are like emotionally fragile when they decide to undertake the quest for revenge. Okay, let's just go back to our anime foundations here. When they go for have a quest for revenge in anime, nobody's emotionally fragile and about to break down. They're like, you killed my dad. I'm about to slice you in 50 pieces. Like, that is it. That's it. That's all we're doing, right? Like, okay, I just need them to remember that women are not that much different than men when it comes to getting revenge. We're just as bloodthirsty and sadistic as guys. That's all I'm saying.
Stacey, this is your bag. What do you think?
I was trying to think. There was one movie where the girl got gang raped and she came back, and it was like a slasher movie. And she was coming back killing everybody. I can't remember the name of it.
If you find it, we'll do a review to say this is what it should have been.
I wish I could think of the name of it. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I wanted.
Right. Actual death, or at least like permanent pain of somebody at some level.
I needed to see some, like, yeah.
What'd you say?
Blood.
What'd you say? Need to see one more time? What'd you say?
Blood.
Oh, blood. All right,
Blood.
I said something else. My fault. All right, Adrian. Before we go, what do you think? How'd you want this movie to end? What do you think is a better version? Do you think there's one out there that really speaks to what you were hoping to see?
I think if there had been if you had some kind of satisfaction, like when she goes with a tire iron on the guy's car, if like there had been, you had really seen, like even if we had seen one of those guys be terrified, right? Other than like the cokehead, I would have, that was, well, and so like the only thing I know him from is Pitch Perfect, the acapella movies.
No, he did Kick Ass. That's why I know him from. Kick Ass 1 and 2, and some other child movie, but he was like the awkward teenager. That's why I seen him from.
Right. So I mean, I think like I liked the movie. It was, even though it was frustrating, I liked it. I wanted at least her name carved in that guy. I usually don't like a lot of violent movies. Just I have a hard time shutting down my thoughts afterwards. So like I would have been okay but I wanted something, right? It just felt so incomplete that you just kept waiting for more and for some kind of like satisfaction, and you come like this close to it, and then it's taken away, and this close, and then it's taken away. And I think maybe that was appropriate, but like I said at the beginning, I was in a place where after everything that's been going on in this country, I wanted some justice and I wanted some vengeance, and I wanted to see some assholes getting their comeuppance. And instead it was like exactly like we came close, and no, we have, not to get too political, but that's the place that I was in.
You gotta go back to like 24 when like Jack Bauer shot the president a couple of times. That's what only a man. That's what he did. He was like, I'm shooting the president because he's gone too far.
I wanted something where it was like, yes, getting their comeuppance, something, but it was so tantalizing, and I think that made it true, but frustrating.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I spit on your grave.
What?
I spit on your grave.
That's the name of the movie?
Yeah.
All right. Stacey will find that shit. She'll find it. She'll be like, this name movie. How old is it?
So the original was like a 70s movie, and they redid it in like the 2000s.
All right. Maybe we can review that movie. I'm saying, don't be like that. You brought it up. I'm saying, like we start a thing like women revenge like series. We'll just start going through them. Like Colombiana should be on the list. I like Colombiana. And then because I don't think Thelma Louise driving off the cliff was too much. That was too much. Like no man's gonna do that. That was a woman ending to me. Like no man is gonna be like, let's just ride off this cliff. No, fuck that. Like we're getting shot by the cops. Like
wait a minute. You're trying to close this review by besmirching one of my most treasured.
I'm sorry.
Cinematic.
Like it was good, but the ending was too much. Like they were just like, let's just keep on driving.
Oh my God.
That right there, I was with them.
David, I love that movie so much.
In the
high
ending
school
too? You justified the ending?
I named my car Thelma.
Did you justify the ending though? The ending was cool with you too?
No, but it seemed like, again, it seemed appropriate. Like they had nowhere else to go.
They had justifiable crime. They could have got out that car and been like,
they knew it wouldn't have worked. They knew everything was always stacked against them.
That's the story they told themselves. I told my friend all the time, my friend Paula, I would have been like, girl, you're the one that killed that dude based on the sexual assault, right? And then she was like, she killed that dude, and then they robbed the bank with fucking Brad Pitt. They did some wild shit. They could have been like, you know what? And they would have been like The Departed, or no, The Town, when they were like, I've been to jail, I'm not going. But that's what men do. In these men movies, they're like, I've been to jail, I'm not going back. And then, they get shot by the cops. So I'm like, well, at least you got shot by the cops. They ain't like, we're just going to jump off this cliff. Anyway, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. We can do that. That's what you want to do. But anyway, guys, if you're still watching this video, thank you. We appreciate that. Yes, Sparkr?
Okay, if you're still watching this video, please remember, please for me, remember, travel in twos.
Oh,
don't make these things. Learn from other people's mistakes. I'm serious. I hate to be the one to say this, but we grew up being told to do all these things,
and speak out.
And then speak out. Yes.
When you see somebody in trouble, speak out. Don't be a part of what's going down. Like, no matter what circumstance you're in, find a way to speak out, and you might be saving somebody's life or their their soul, keeping their person whole. Yeah.
Yes.
Many times you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Women can be our own superheroes. If you see some crazy chick drunk somewhere, no one's gonna do anything to you for making sure she's safe. It's okay. You have permission. Be a superhero. That's all I have to say.
All right. Anybody else?
Second it.
All right.
Okay.
Stacey?
Carry guns and mace.
Yes.
There you go. Violence.
Knives.
Defend yourself by any means necessary. Yes.
Karate.
The stab in the penis. Like, All right. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You can like on the video, you can comment on the video, share the video. Also, let us know why you watch this movie, why you watch us talking about this movie, what other movies you like us to review. Happy Martin Luther King Day. I'm not sure. I just want to throw that out there. Just whatever. How you want to look at it. That's a day off either way. But anyway, we will see you again for another review from all of us at some point. Well, you already off. We get off. Anyway.
I'm working.
How you working? You here with us?
I'm taking a break.
All right. Okay. Never mind. In the words of Jerry Springer, take care of yourselves and each other.